was a tough school. Let's say this one for Grace. She wants to see it. Okay.
This is the easiest group of people I've ever got to stop talking. Thank you so much. If any of you have ever been to the Business After 5 in the morning events, I have to yell at you to get you to stop, so thank you. Two really, really, really important things. The restrooms are in that corner of the building, and the codes are right here. Second really important thing is thanks to Colin at the Cravery. We have extra cookies back here, and if you haven't had Cravery cookies before, they're really good. A special thanks to Jen. You stand up. Jen from Azusa Pacific for hosting us today. Thanks, Jen. And I'd like to present Steve. So Steve Heroux, like Kangaroo. Steve Kangaroo will be presenting today.
Don't even start.
There's gonna. That should be your logo.
I'll take it.
That should be your logo.
He's gonna jump right in.
So Steve has been a chamber member forever. I think he's been a chamber member longer than I've worked there, and I've worked there 13, going on 14 years. So Steve has been a long-term, loyal, and consummate professional, successful guy. Just really smart, and you're really going to enjoy his presentation today. So thanks, Steve, for doing this.
I didn't write this, by the way.
Yeah, this is just so you me and my little sticky notes. All of this he does pro bono, so it's a win-win for the chamber. Thank you, Steve, and it's a win-win for you guys because he's really going to deliver some great material. There's great value in this stuff. He has trained over thousands of people over the last 22 years on how to be a successful salesperson and get the mindset of networking, strategic alliances, strategic partnerships, sales, follow-up, all those things. I want to encourage all of you, you may know this series is a 3-part series, and you get a certificate at the end, and all of the 3 parts of this series, which go month to month to month, all kind of go together with your chamber membership. So that's all I have. Thanks, Steve. Thank you all for coming. Greatly appreciate it, and carry on.
Thanks, man.
Cameron?
It's good.
Are you
Thank
on?
you. Thanks for not reminding me, Charlie.
What's up? Is it on?
Yeah, thanks. You're late. Charlie's fault. He didn't remind me.
Hey.
So, by the way, no golf claps in here. Can we do that over for Fred and Grace, the amazing team? Where's Jennifer? Where's Jennifer Jordan? Oh, by the way, there's the other Jennifer Jordan. Sorry, I had to make that intro. There are 2 Jennifer Jordans in the room. But thank you guys again for being here. Super excited. 2 things, if you can. Silence your cell phones, but you can take notes on your cell phones. Okay, it's a $50 fine. If your phone goes off, it goes directly to my pocket. So make sure you turn it off.
Can we Venmo you?
Yes, sir. Stephen Dashwood. So that's my info. If you guys want to connect after, that's where you can find me. As Fred said, this is going to be one of 3 events we're going to put on over the next 2 months. We'll talk about that at the end. A couple things before we get started. And I think this one's on a little delay, so let's make sure it works. That's one hell of a delay. It's a really big delay.
We do it for you?
That's a huge delay. It's quite a delay, Joel.
Oh. Did it freeze up on you?
Yep.
I can see it.
Thanks, sir. No, I think the whole computer's frozen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, as we get started, while he's doing that, just give you a little bit of background. How many of you guys have I never met before at a chamber event or anything? I think it's a decent
Wow.
So we got a lot of awesome new members. As Fred said, I think I've been a member since 07 or so. Remember that, Mike, when my renewal comes out. So it's important to understand, as we meet people in this event, and I don't want you to think about this in terms of just learning something, make sure you meet some new friends when you're here. We were here early, probably 3, 4, 5, 6 of us that already made connections. So anytime you go to an event to learn, also go to an event to meet new people. Not to make sales, to meet new people. When we talk about this, at least we used to, Robert, in all the Chamber 101s, so many people say, oh, I didn't get anything out of the Chamber, because that's because you're going to take. That's why you didn't get anything, you're a taker. Right? Go to give. And you don't need to measure ROI. Okay, that's bad to do with something like this. Because you can't measure the ROI of your best friend, can you? Because I met one of my best friends in the world at a Chamber event when I first moved here. What's the ROI of that? So again, don't go into things with what can I take, right? Go into what can I give. Should we test it?
Yes.
Yes. Hand for Joel, the IT guy. You wouldn't be able to live without guys like this. Hold your spouse.
All right.
So before we continue, guys, what we're going to talk about today. 1 is how to think like a champion. 2 is mindset plus skill set equals success. And 3 is you got to believe you can be great. And since so many of you guys don't know me or haven't met me before, and I mainly put this up because Mike's in the audience, the thoughts you're about to hear today are the thoughts of Steve Heroux, only Steve Heroux. Not the San Diego Chamber of Commerce, not Mike, not Robert, not Grace. We good?
Yeah.
We good? Now I can't get in trouble, Mike? You got that? So, the beginning. When I started, or let's go back to even before I started, probably from 2nd grade through high school, I did not say one word. Nothing. Like, head down in homeroom. Was anybody in here a really quiet kid, like me? 3 people. Maybe. You would be surprised at what people end up at in life based on how they started. Would you agree with that? And my freshman year of college, I went to a really expensive school in Boston. My parents were paying $50 grand a year, and I wanted to contribute, so I needed to get a job. So on all the tables, on the desks at school, they had this flyer. It said, $10 an appointment, a phone number, and part-time job. That's it. So I called it up. I said, hey, what's this job? They said, it's customer service and sales. And I didn't talk. So I'm like, do I have to talk to people? Or is there like a desk job or something I can do? And they go, well, that's not really a job. And I said, well, what will I be selling? And they said, I will tell you when you get here. So they wouldn't even tell me what it was. So I showed up to this horrible office in Boston, smelled like cat pee. It was disgusting. And I got hired. And they gave me this offer letter, and it was signed in color, really nice. And they made it sound like I got the job. And then you find out later, right, they hire anybody, you know, with a pulse, right? They don't get the same letter. So I went home, told my parents I got the job. They said, that's great, Stevie. What are you going to be doing? I said, I'm going to be selling knives. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Holy crap. How many of you know that? Wow. That many Cutco, you all know this? Wow. So my dad said, you're not doing that. I said, why not? He said, 1, you don't talk. 2, nobody's going to buy your knives. And 3, I'm not giving you the money for the knife. Hey mom, can I have $150? So what do you think mom did? Here's the money. And so I started. And has anybody seen the Cutco script before that they give? You've seen it? Okay. I gotta be nice here, especially because this is on camera. It's bad. It's really bad. Who knows what sales speak is? What do I mean when I say sales speak?
Really obvious?
Yes. What else?
Squishy?
Yes. 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 The used car sales kind of crap, right? So I had never sold anything in my life, but I knew I wasn't going to say that. Are you with me? 18 years old, I'm not saying this. Is Cutco expensive?
Yes.
Is it good?
Yes.
When you're taught in sales and you're selling something expensive, what are you taught never to say?
How much?
Price. What do you think I told everybody?
How much?
price. I'm 18, right? One knife is worth more than my life, right? At this point, I'm selling $80 knives. So I decided, well, if I'm going to sell knives, shouldn't people actually use them first? Wouldn't that make sense? So I just went to the grocery store and bought a bunch of food. So every time I did a demo, right, I would go to the store, get food, and that was my demo. We would just cut up food and people would buy knives. Magic. And so my first month in the business, I was the #1 Cutco rep in all of New England. I'd never sold anything in my life. I made $1,600 in 3.5 weeks, which for a college kid is like 1.6 million. I went home and told my dad, I said, hey Dad, by the way, you were right, that knife thing didn't work. What did he say? I told you. I said, I'm just kidding, here's my check. And he looks at the check and he said, this is from the knives. By the way, we're from Boston, so I apologize for this next thing. He said, well, I won't say the word. He said, let me see those effing knives. That's what he said. Go get the knives, he cuts with them, uses another holy word. He said, these are pretty and good. Maybe we'll buy some. That's the moment I knew I could be good in sales. Because my dad doesn't buy anything from anybody ever. Ever. And he bought some. And every year, every Thanksgiving, every year, hey Stevie, you know, we still got those knives. I go, yeah, Ma, I know. You told me for the last like 20 years. So I have to deal with this for the rest of my life. But it taught me a lot about selling. And I did that all through college. My senior year, believe it or not, I quit because I wanted to just be a college kid. And I got a job, J-O-B. Anybody ever worked in food service? So I was working in the cafeteria, right? Putting food up for people. And my idiot friends would come in and purposely spill the food, you know, because they knew it was my job to clean it up. So I had to deal with that. And my first check was $80 for 20 hours of work. So what did I say after I got a check? I'll go back selling knives. So senior year, I went back to selling knives after having been out a year and a half and ended up #1 in the country. And this comes from somebody who didn't talk. No dates, no dances, no proms, none of that. Deathly quiet. So can you learn how to sell? Anybody can, right? And I went from there, I managed sales teams with them for 6 years, and then I went to the company with a duck on it. Who knows what company that is? Right? Yeah, so Aflac. So that's when I joined the chamber, built my whole business from nothing, made it to #1 in the country with Aflac as well. Because of this chamber, believe it or not, right? Because of the relationships I've built. And I still have many friends today from that. Many. Charlie, Grace, Fred, Robert, I mean, so many. So I share that with you because it doesn't matter where you are right now, okay? Nobody would have picked me to be successful in sales. 0 people, not even my parents. So anybody can do it. And it's all upstairs. And that's the stuff we're going to talk about today. So I'm originally from Boston. Charlie thinks I'm now a Dodgers fan because they have all our players. That's right. And I was sharing with Brandon, so this is where I lived the last year. Okay, so some of you guys know, I moved, bought a house in Costa Rica, lived there for a year. And it was an interesting decision to just pick up and move to a foreign country. Would you agree, yes or no? Yes. Who's read Tim Ferriss's book? What's the book? Well, he's got a minute. 4-hour work week. It's Tim Ferriss's fault that I moved to Costa Rica. Because there's an exercise in there that says if you make this decision, write down the worst case scenario. And I highly recommend you guys do this when you have a big decision to make. Just write down what's the worst thing that could happen. And I made that list on a legal pad. Nothing prevented me from moving. So I said, what the hell, I'm going. And I loved every minute of it. Still have it now, have renters in there now. But I share this with you guys because I never thought, when I was in high school, I didn't think this. I was just a very successful B to C student in high school. I didn't think any of this could happen, but this is because of sales, guys, all this stuff. And we're going to talk about all that bullshit stuff you see on the internet in a little bit. But this is real. This is my house. You can go stay there, right? This isn't me posing in a jet or pretending this Bentley is mine, right? Like all that garbage you see on social media. Okay? So, does anybody know this gentleman, Henry Ford? Not personally. If you think you can do a thing or think you can't do a thing, you're right. Who agrees with that? It's never changed. Who knows this gentleman? Decent athlete? Pretty decent. By the way, is he the prototypical sprinter?
No.
Hell no. How tall is a prototypical sprinter?
5'8", 5'9".
5'9", 5'8". How tall is he? Anyone know? 6'5". 6'5". So 5'9", 180, prototypical sprinter, 6'5", 220. 11-time world champ. Records, world records in 100 and 200. By the way, he set that in the same Olympics. 9 gold medals. By the way, 3 straight golds in the 100-meter. And if you know about the math, right, that's 8 years apart, okay? 3 Olympics is 8 years apart. You don't win 3 straight golds in the 100. You just don't do it. It's never going to be done again. And Usain Bolt has a couple great quotes. And this is probably my favorite. He's really slow, by the way, out of the blocks. Really slow. Watch any race, he's always 3rd, 4th, 5th. But what matters? The finish. In every race you watch him, he's gone. You're ahead, you feel good, and then you feel the wind and you lose. It's all about how you finish. Agree or disagree? So who cares about last year? Let's just get that out of the way now. And this isn't a goals talk, but you gotta forget 2019. It's over. It doesn't